As Chancellor of the University, I declare this congregation open for the conferring of degrees by the authority of the Senate and Council.
As Vice-Chancellor, I am delighted to welcome you all to this degree congregation. It is a celebration for all those who graduate today. We celebrate your many achievements that culminate in the award of a degree from a major international research and teaching-led university that has been placed in the very top group of UK universities by a number of league tables. In August, we were delighted when data prepared by the University of Cambridge placed the University of Leicester in the UK's top 20 research-intensive universities. International league tables, focusing on the top 200 universities in the world, placed Leicester in that group. Similarly, a league table developed in China on the top 500 universities worldwide placed Leicester at 151st. We are truly a university of international renown, recognised for its high quality. All graduation ceremonies are special. This is a special degree ceremony predominantly for postgraduates. It provides strong evidence that we are the leading UK provider of postgraduate taught courses, as postgraduate students constitute approximately 50% of the university. Many of you have combined work with part-time study through distance learning, an approach that I hope may appeal to parents and friends in this congregation who may also wish to study with us. I can guarantee that if any of you approach any member of university staff at the end of this ceremony, you too could be on your way to a degree ceremony in the Montfort Hall 3 years from now. For those who graduate, I hope you will consider taking other degrees and courses with us, and those who have successfully achieved a master's degree should consider talking with their tutors today about registering for a doctoral programme. But what kind of university is Leicester? This year we have over 18,000 students, there are 3,500 staff, and we have a turnover of £160 million. Clearly, there are many other characteristics of the university based on high-quality research and teaching. Only yesterday, the Higher Education Funding Council for England announced the results of the largest competition involving teaching excellence that has ever been mounted. The Funding Council has set aside £315 million to fund over 70 centres of excellence in teaching and learning. Only 16 universities have more than one centre, and I am delighted to be able to tell you that Leicester is among them. We have been awarded a Centre of Excellence in Teaching and Learning in Genetics Education, led by Dr. Annette Cashmore, and in Geographical Information Systems, led by Dr. Nick Tate. The Genetics Centre links teaching and research together. It will focus on developing generic skills and also widening participation in the field of science education. Meanwhile, the Geographical Information Systems Centre will focus on an innovative curriculum, the use of technology in the teaching of spatial literacy, and support for developing innovative teaching in world-class laboratories. Overall, the success we have achieved in this competition demonstrates the importance the university gives to teaching and learning directly informed by high-quality research. As we continue to innovate, we also need to develop our estate. 4 years ago, we developed a £300 million development plan for the university. Already, we have established a number of new projects. Refurbishments have taken place in archaeology and chemistry, so that staff and students are working in state-of-the-art facilities. In October, we opened the Michael Atiyah building, named after our Chancellor, where we have established a mathematical modelling centre drawing on engineering, chemistry, physics and mathematics. This coexists with the highly successful Space Research Centre and gives many leading scientists excellent facilities in which to work. Finally, we have just taken delivery of a £20 million biomedical building into which scientists are actively moving as I speak. This will help them generate more large-scale research grants and contracts in the future. But this is not the end of campus development. In 2005, we will begin, firstly, the development of a new student hall of residence, which will complement our other residences in our student village. Secondly, the library programme will also commence. This is a £25 million project that will provide state-of-the-art facilities in a 21st century library. It will double the size of the university library, create space for a new careers advisory service, create a cafe available for staff and students, create a bookshop which will serve the university and the community, and provide facilities to support innovative teaching and learning, both on campus and by distance learning. Such projects all demand further funding. We have established a systematic fundraising campaign to support the development of the university library, to complete a cardiovascular research institute, and to create new academic positions. I hope that many of you will wish to explore the possibilities with other alumni for supporting your university. It may be that you know someone who could provide large-scale funding for the university. You may be able to introduce us to a trust or a major donor, and you may wish to make a personal contribution. All these are very welcome. Finally, I would like to congratulate you all on the degrees you have obtained. We hope you will keep in touch with the university, and I shall look forward to meeting you at alumni events. But before I close, I would like you to join with me in thanking your parents, relatives, friends and sponsors who have all supported you through your university course over the last few years. So I would now ask the graduating class of 2005 to join with me in a round of applause for those people. That's terrific. Have an enjoyable day, applaud your fellow students, and all good wishes to you in your future careers.
To the educational world at large, the name of John Ashworth is associated with the directorship of the London School of Economics in the early 1990s. For many people, that would be the summit of a career, but for John Ashworth, it is one of a long series of mountaintops whose peaks include the Vice-Chancellorship of the University of Salford and the chairmanship of the Board of the British Library. His organizational and managerial talents have led to his serving on bodies as diverse as the Advisory Board for the Research Councils, the European Union's Committee for Scientific and Technical Research, the UK-USSR Joint Committee on Science and Technology, and the National Economic Development Council. To that formidable catalogue, one might add a roll call of non-executive directorships: Sainsbury's, London First, the National Computer Centre, Jaguar Cars. The list bespeaks extraordinary energies as well as unusual talents. Where did it all begin? John Ashworth is a natural scientist, and his scientific training began at a school on the edge of Exmoor and continued at Exeter College, Oxford, of which he is now an honorary fellow. He then made what seems to all of us the wise decision to take his PhD at Leicester. Why did he do so? He had taken a first in chemistry at Oxford and decided to stay on for an extra year to take a degree in biochemistry, in which he also took a first. He was the first person, and may have been the last, to accomplish this feat. His tutor for this final year was the biochemist Hans Kornberg. When Sir Hans, as he now is, decided to accept the newly established chair of biochemistry at Leicester, John Ashworth decided to follow him here. They came to Leicester together, arriving on a late summer afternoon to take possession of their newly constructed department, which was accommodated in the Georgian building that now houses the administration. The difficulty was that the building was closed. In those days, someone locked the door at the end of the working day, and thereafter the university was entirely unpopulated. The ever-enterprising John Ashworth spotted a laboratory window ajar and therefore took possession of his new campaign by climbing through it. He emerged, as Sir Hans commented, flushed with success. John Ashworth subsequently worked at this university, teaching in the Department of Biochemistry from 1961 to 1973, progressing from demonstrator to lecturer to reader. For part of this period, he was warden of Digby Hall, and that post brought him close to generations of Leicester students well beyond his academic discipline. Within biochemistry, perhaps the most remarkable of his early accomplishments was the award of the Colworth Medal by the Biochemical Society in 1972, an award for the most outstanding British biochemist under the age of 35. It is testament to the quality of the foundations that he and Sir Hans laid that 3 other members of Leicester's biochemistry department have subsequently won the same award. From Leicester, John Ashworth went to Essex, where he became the foundation professor of biology. His standing as a scientist, an organizer, an educator, and a communicator was such that within 2 years he was poached by the Cabinet Office, where for the next 5 years he worked as chief scientist of the Central Policy Review Staff and Undersecretary of the Cabinet Office. In these capacities, he gave advice on scientific matters to James Callaghan and to his fellow chemist Margaret Thatcher. He then moved to Salford for 9 years and there chose the path of a radical development of his university by encouraging colleagues to work with local industries. His innovative approach has now become common practice throughout the sector. After Salford came the LSE, which had traditionally appointed social scientists to its directorship. The choice of John Ashworth, a natural scientist, caused some eyebrows to be raised when the appointment was announced. What qualities, the academic staff of the LSE wondered, could possibly compensate for the debilitating absence of any background in the social sciences? They were soon to find out that John Ashworth's powerful leadership was rooted in a clear and sympathetic understanding of the nature of teaching and research in the social sciences. For part of his time in London, he served as Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Metropolitan Affairs, the university equivalent of Ken Livingstone, and in that capacity helped to shape the university at large. John Ashworth is in some technical sense now retired, but his activities give a new meaning to that word. His most prominent post-retirement post was his chairmanship of the board of the British Library. On his appointment, he promptly shifted the blurred boundary between advisory and executive roles, and librarians were soon disconcerted to discover that their chairman intended to subject them to an unprecedented degree of scrutiny and was in the habit of asking very awkward questions. In the transition to the library's new home beside St. Pancras Station, a location no doubt chosen because of its convenience for scholars in Leicester, John Ashworth was very much the man that the library needed for that job. That post, however important, has not been his only retirement activity. In recent years, he has been working as a non-executive director of Granada Group, a member of the Council of the Institute of Cancer Research, a governor of the Ditchley Foundation, a member of the Barbican Arts Centre Committee of the City Corporation of London, and as president of the Council for Assisting Academic Refugees and chairman of the Barts and London NHS Trust. Perhaps the most telling of this recent round of appointments is his membership of the Advisory Council of Demos, an independent think tank which, like John Ashworth himself, serves as a greenhouse for new ideas which can improve the quality of our lives. Like Demos, he operates on an intellectual plane unsecured by traditional political parties, identities, and disciplines. This university is proud to have benefited from his years with us and proud to have contributed to his development as a figure of national and international importance in the worlds of education and science. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present to you John Ashworth that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
I give you the degree of Doctor of Laws and welcome him among us. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well done.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, members of Senate and Council, thank you for conferring on me the degree of Doctor of Letters. In all my various career moves, so elegantly sketched by the public orator, I never expected to be able to call myself a lawyer. It is a delicious pleasure, as well as a great honour. Thank you. Fellow graduates, parents, ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, a day of great rejoicing. I know what hard work, commitment, hope, fear, and sheer dogged determination is being celebrated here today. When I first came to Leicester, full of the excitement of starting the research that eventually led to my being awarded a PhD in this very place 40 years ago, and following a man, Hans Kornberg, I greatly admired, I little thought that I would stay for a dozen years. But I did. And I hope that all of you graduating today are as fortunate as I was in your first employer. I learnt many things at this fine university. But perhaps the most important, and certainly the one I want to focus on this morning, is the importance of tolerance and being open and appreciative of the views of others. The 1960s were a time of student unrest, riots in some places, and impassioned debate. I had many friends studying the sciences, of course, but I also had many who were studying and researching in the humanities and the social sciences. Indeed, one of them I married, and one, Tony Giddins, succeeded me as director of the LSE. And together they created an amazingly diverse and intellectually very exciting environment. I loved it. Looking back, nostalgically and no doubt with slightly rosy spectacles, it is the sheer diversity and fun that I remember. Some of our teachers, like Hans Kornberg, who had come to the UK in the Kindertransport from Nazi Germany in the 1930s, and Norbert Elias, also a refugee from Europe, brought a whiff of Mittel Europa, as well as excitingly new ideas, and others, like Sami Zubaida, more than a whiff of the exotic East. It was the 60s. I learned here that a university is a place of vigorous debate, hard work, intellectual rigor, and personal development, but above all else, a place of tolerance. It mattered not who you were, where you came from, or what you were doing. The important thing was what you were doing exciting? And did it help advance knowledge and understanding? I realized that a university that shut itself off from the views of those seen as different was doomed to die intellectually. As President of the Council of the Assistance for Refugee Academics, I know how difficult it can be today for those who arrive here traumatized by the most appalling persecutions in their homelands to find a niche in Britain's universities. We must continue to keep faithful to those high standards of tolerant acceptance that I first learnt here. We must ensure that the welcome that was given to the likes of Hans Kornberg and Norbert Elias, and which thus provided me with my formative intellectual development, continues so that our universities remain lively, diverse, and intellectually vibrant institutions, beacons to the wider society of which they are part. Graduands, as you go out into that wider society, remember those principles of tolerant and welcoming acceptance, along with the academic disciplines you have been taught here, and thus help all of us to make our society a better place for all. For your hard work, your application, but above all for your achievements being celebrated here today, I salute you.
The graduands in the Faculty of Science will be presented by the Dean, Professor Hillman. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Science to the various degrees for which they are presented.
Graduands of the Faculty of Science, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the various degrees which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Science, David Civita.
Doctor of Science and Congratulations.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Sophie Cash. Mark Everard. William Gosling. James Howard. Suki Kandola. Koklung Lee. Jonathan Nichols. Mark Reichau. Nigel Richards. Vittoria Salafia. Jonathan Starkey. Sarah Tatham. Natalie Thomas. Richard Thomas. Andrew West. For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Zhen Kui.
Congratulations. Well done.
Guang Guo.
Congratulations. Well done.
Jonathan Hills.
Congratulations, well done.
Yassine Jamal.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Mechanical Engineering, Vishnu Bavlecha.
Congratulations, well done.
Sridharan Veerapuram.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Chemistry, Afjal Mir.
Congratulations, well done.
Devinder Verdi.
Congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Embedded Systems and Control Engineering, Adewale Adenia.
Congratulations.
Bala Belur Hirianaya.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Mahdi Aznashari.
Congratulations.
Mauro Elias Fuentes Rodriguez.
Congratulations.
Musharraf Hanif.
Congratulations.
Susan Kurian.
Congratulations.
Chong Liu.
Congratulations.
Chatinder Moman.
Congratulations.
Samir Pal.
Congratulations.
Nitin Kumar Patel.
Congratulations, well done.
Gautam Sidhu.
Congratulations, well done.
He Wen.
Congratulations, well done.
Jing Shui.
Congratulations.
Jia Zhang.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Geographical Information Systems, Ebenezer Adekunle.
Congratulations, well done.
Tim Aldridge.
Congratulations.
Matthew Curtis.
Congratulations.
Joseph Fawahinmi.
Congratulations.
William Holmes.
Congratulations.
Graham Niles.
Congratulations.
Ioannis Pakos.
Congratulations, well done.
Neil Sang.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Information and Communications Engineering, Osgur Akdeniz.
Congratulations.
Xiaorong Liang.
Congratulations.
Min Zhang.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Natural Resource Management, Jonathan Cracknell.
Congratulations.
Martin Flack.
Congratulations.
Mary Fredland.
Congratulations.
Darren Gent.
Congratulations.
Amy Robinson.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Software Engineering for the E-Economy, Jimmy Sue.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Geographical Information Systems, Loretta Ayakiri.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit for the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees which they are presented.
The graduands in the Faculty of the Social Sciences will be presented by the Dean, Professor Jackson. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of the Social Sciences to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduates of the Faculty of Social Sciences, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Daniel Blois. Sharon Caldwell. Nisha Dogra. Joe Flannery. Joanna Herbert. Dominic Malcolm. For the degree of Master of Arts in Diplomatic Studies, Rebecca Foley. Alex Iziki. Claire Jakes. Laurie Mellish. Menelaus Panagiotakis. Louise Pellet. Hannah Standring. Esther Watt. Ben Willett. For the degree of Master of Arts in European Urbanisation, Emma Harrison. Rebecca Madgen. For the degree of Master of Arts in Globalisation and Communities, Tobias Isher. Boy Few. Jin Lee. Ding Lee. Yu Lu. Chun Ling Se. Stefania Vicari. Zaif Zawena. Fei Zhang. For the degree of Master of Arts in International Relations and World Order, Oladuwa Borishadi. Katie Brightwell. Ben Fanstone. Lee Knight. Wibke Lamer. Tatina Master. Helen Norbury. Linda Silber. Lawrence Wells. Simon Wilson. For the degree of Master of Arts in International Security Studies, Gareth Glover. For the degree of Master of Arts in Mass Communications, Nesreen Abdel Sater. Laura Bailey. Tian Shun Xiao. Yi Fang Chen. Constance Ijuma. Alison Harper. Yishu Ji. David Kelleher. Demetrios Koukalaris, Yu Li, Defeng Lai, Ho Lai, Jiaotian Liu, Ali Maki, Yohi Nakata, Fortini Patriciu, Lia Kwan, Patama Satawetan, Jin Shang, Sapna Shenoy, Hui Ying Shi, Sarah Tak, Li Tong, Catherine Vela, Hui Ying Wu, Yu Chia, Lin Lin Zhang, Li Wei Zhang, Hui Ying Zhang, Ting Ting Chi, Li Zhu, for the degree of Master of Arts in Sociology of Sport, David Gale, Emma Keeley, Robin Miller, Adam Wilde, for the degree of Master of Arts in Urban History, Tim Davies, Gervais of French, Claire Lester, for the degree of Master of Science in Applied Criminology, Edward Thruston, for the degree of Master of Science in Business Analysis and Finance, Sandeep Chahal, Fei Chai, Simon Chalifol, Sasha Fan, Claire Kagudi, Jupe Kerr, Chow Zhu Lu, Olga Papadopoulou, George Spanos, Eleni Sparangi, Katrina Tobias, Zheng Wang, for the degree of Master of Science in Clinical Criminology, Gurvinder Binder, Joanna Bott, Harjit Shigaria, Claire Davis, Manjit Gill, Laura Hocknell, Kate Leftley, Harriet Nourish, Penelope Statham. For the degree of Master of Science in Criminal Justice, Marius Christofides. Sarah William. For the degree of Master of Science in Criminal Justice and Police Management, Joseph Manga. For the degree of Master of Science in Criminology, Nicola Cork. Liz Curran. Cam Gill. Julie Green. Sam Guru. Ian Hogg. Charlotte Lawson. Joseph Shepherd. For the degree of Master of Science in Economics, Guanji Li. Esteri Mwangjoka. Yong Yan. For the degree of Master of Science in Financial Economics, Lillian Ashato. Chow Ming Kai. Wan Chin Ding. Ru He. Chris Jones. David Jones. Christina Leuri. Cher Lee. Sam Mansi. Emmanuel Soarte. Maria Theocarus. Guan Wang. Stephen Weber. Fu Yu Yang. Zhen Qing Yo. Han Zhang. Yun Zhang. For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic Investigation, Sterol Greenhalgh. Megumi Seto.
Anna Pavord is a justly celebrated writer on gardening and garden plants. She has written many books, including the bestseller, The Tulip, in 1999. She is also gardening correspondent of The Independent, where she has worked since the launch of the paper in 1986. Anna Pavord was born and raised in Abergavenny, Wales, the daughter of a well-respected schoolmaster. Gardening is in her blood. She remembers, "My parents always seemed to be bottoms up in the borders." Rudyard Kipling also noted that half a proper gardener's work is done upon his knees. The position is the same, but even Kipling, a technically superb poet, would have had difficulty in finding a rhyme for bottoms. Anna Pavord graduated in English from this university in 1962, when she was one of only about 1,200 students. She was fortunate in having Richard Hoggart as a tutor. She well remembers his passionate lectures and his insistence that English novels can only be really appreciated by those with a sound knowledge of the politics, economics, and society of the times in which they were written. Professor Hoggart recently returned to this university to unveil the clock on the Charles Wilson building, which you may have seen today. This clock is a memorial to Professor Arthur Humphreys, the Professor of English fondly remembered by Anna Pavord. At Leicester, she appeared in print for the first time, writing for the student newspaper, Ripple. After a brief stint working for Unilever, who decided that she had no management potential, she joined the BBC just as BBC Two was being launched. She worked for the corporation for 7 years, firstly as a programme assistant and then as director of Late Night Lineup, the pioneering daily, live media and arts programme. This programme was also one of the first to be shown in colour. She began to contribute regularly to The Observer in 1970 and became gardening correspondent of The Independent in 1986. She returned to television in 1991 to make Flowering Passions, a series of 10 programmes which she researched, wrote and presented for Channel 4. This series was immensely popular, the programmes usually having more viewers than did Cheers, the predecessor of Frasier, on that channel. Anna Pavord published her first book, Growing Things, in 1982. In 1994, her border book was long in the bestseller lists. Then, in 1999, came her great labour of love, The Tulip, a book that reflects her major interest and which took 6 years of work, although it was not originally intended for publication. This book was a worldwide bestseller, being reviewed by papers as disparate as the Wall Street Journal, Harper's and Queen, and the Daily Telegraph. The reviewer in the Telegraph said that it was a book written by a scholar that reads like a thriller. A new edition appeared in paperback last year. Now, The Tulip is most certainly not a gardening book. It is the story of a plant that drove men mad, a story marked by greed, anguish, and devotion. It describes the westward spread of the tulip from its heartland in the Pamir Mountains of Kazakhstan to Turkey, and thence to Europe and the Americas. It tells of the devotion of the legions of tulip lovers, Ottoman, Dutch, latterly British, who have, over the past 500 years, sought out new varieties of wild tulip, bred and hybridized them to produce the flowers we love today. Anna Pavord is herself an avid tulip hunter, seeking them in Crete, eastern Turkey, where, down by the Iraqi border, she attracted the attention of both Kurdish guerrillas and of the Turkish army, and most recently in Kazakhstan, in the Pamir Mountains themselves, where she travelled on horseback. Truly the spirit of Gertrude Bell lives on in this tulip enthusiast. The greed and the anguish are exemplified in her description of the 17th century Dutch tulip mania, when fortunes were made and lost on tulip bulbs and even tulip futures. This mania is the exemplar of boom and bust, of irrational enthusiasm followed by collapse, so recently shown in the dot-com crash. Any MBA graduate here today would be well advised to read her description of economic madness. Shortly after this ceremony, Anna Pavord will fly out to lead a tour of the gardens of the Caribbean under the auspices of the Harvard Museum of Natural History and the Royal Oak Foundation, the American membership affiliate of the National Trust, where she chairs the Gardens panel. She has long loved the island of Dominica and its 40-acre botanical garden, founded in 1981 as an outpost of Kew. As a counterbalance to her exertions in search of tulips in the wilder parts of the world, this tour is on Sea Cloud II, a modern three-masted barkentine. Anna Pavord has always enjoyed sailing. Madam, our thoughts go with you on this journey, enviously. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and of the Council, I present Anna Pavord that you may confer on her the Honorary Degree of Doctor of Letters.
Doctor of Letters, welcome you among us. There's some of your trip. Congratulations. Well done.
Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, members of the University Council and Senate, distinguished guests, fellow graduands. As you've heard, not an academic career, but how I wish it had been in retrospect. I have just struggled through 4 years of a new book on the search for order in the natural world. How I wish I had studied philosophy. How I wish I knew more about science. How I wish I had done as Dr. Ashworth says and listened to what everything else was going on around me at the university. But of course I didn't. I was here in the de Montfort Hall, listening to Kid Ory and all the remnants of the fantastic great jazz players of the Americas who were blowing their horns in this very place in 1961, 1962, when I became an undergraduate here and never took my academic career any further at all. But I would like to pay a very, very grateful tribute to the university, not only for the honour which they have given me today, but also for, as it were, putting on that light in my mind. And to me, in retrospect, that useful standpoint, that really is the most extraordinary thing that any undergraduate can hope for. To see Professor Humphreys, and I realise also in retrospect how very lucky I was to be here at the university at that time, striding around, reciting those wonderful pieces of 18th century verse that I'd never heard before. How can you do an A-level in English and never know anything about 18th century poetry? But there it was, I didn't. And he had a huge influence on my career here, as did Professor Hoggart, not a professor then, about whom you've already heard. He, Luttrell, Professor Humphreys, the marvellous tutor I had who strode around just spouting Anglo-Saxon at us. I mean, nobody ever hears Anglo-Saxon, but immediately it was explained to you that this was an oral culture. These were magnificent poems that were to be declaimed in halls of feasting men, surrounded by wolvish dogs. So, for all those things and for that light that I hope has never gone out completely, thank you very much indeed.
The remaining graduands in the Faculty of the Social Sciences will now be presented by the Dean, Professor Jackson.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, for the degree of Master of Science in Health and Safety Management, Martin Bevan.
Congratulations.
Robert Chandler.
Congratulations.
Bill Corcoran.
Congratulations.
Richard Darcy.
Congratulations.
Martin Devaney.
Congratulations.
Tina Dunmore.
Congratulations.
Stephen Fairham.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Stephen Fink.
Congratulations.
Roy McKnight.
Congratulations.
Keith Scott.
Congratulations.
Phil Taylor.
Congratulations.
Steve Trafford.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Human Geography, David Bradley.
Congratulations.
Simon Paris.
Congratulations.
Timothy Vorley.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Management of Quality Excellence, Paul Childs.
Congratulations.
Gerard Jordan.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Police Leadership and Management, Cecilia Agger.
Congratulations. Pavan.
Yvonne Brutton.
Congratulations.
Katie Elliott.
Congratulations.
Sally Holmes.
Congratulations.
Lucy Hudson.
Congratulations.
Rachelle Jones.
Congratulations.
Alison Newcomb.
Congratulations.
Sarah O'Mahony.
Congratulations.
Mark Roberts.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Policing and Public Order Studies, Tony McLean.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Policing and Social Conflict, Finbar Stevens.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Political Research, Luke Carruthers.
Congratulations.
Rakhi Popat.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Risk, Crisis and Disaster Management, David Armsworthma.
Congratulations.
John Agius.
Congratulations.
Nick Berry.
Congratulations.
Colin Thompson.
Congratulations.
Ian Thompson.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Security and Organisational Risk Management, Inderjit Kaur.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Security and Risk Management, Steve Dunham.
Congratulations.
Robert Gregory.
Congratulations.
Joanne Hancock.
Congratulations.
Tracy Holbrook.
Congratulations.
Louise Hudson.
Congratulations.
Naveen Sharma.
Congratulations.
Sharon Williams.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Security Management, Ian Thomas.
Congratulations.
Tina Townsend Graves.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Social Research, Richard Courtney.
Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Sociology of Sport, Laura Logan.
Congratulations.
Susan Pearson.
Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Sociology of Sport, Physical Education, Corrie Adam.
Congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Sociology of Sport, Sports Management, Gwyn Potts.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in the Study of Security Management, Sean Hines.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Training, Janet Melly.
Congratulations.
Wayne Porterfield.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Training and Human Resource Management, Hong Ang.
Congratulations.
Anthony Appap.
Congratulations.
Hazel Carter.
Congratulations.
Anna Daly.
Congratulations.
Lisa Fowley.
Congratulations.
Pascal Lambert.
Congratulations. Well done.
Keng Lim.
Congratulations.
Polly Mngwai.
Congratulations.
Alison O'Reilly.
Congratulations.
Claire Quinn.
Congratulations.
Edwin Small.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Training and Performance Management, Donato Bilbao.
Congratulations.
Tricia Bradley.
Congratulations.
Sabrina Braganza.
Congratulations.
Yin Ching Chiu.
Congratulations.
Anita Esser.
Congratulations. Well done.
Anne Fogarty.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Sally Go.
Congratulations.
Marida Tracy.
Congratulations.
Tasneem Varani.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Arts in International Relations and World Order, Alex Yip.
Congratulations. Well done.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
The graduands in the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences will be presented by the Dean, Professor Lauder. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduands of the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Medicine, Jonathan Goddard.
Doctor of Medicine. Congratulations.
Harry Ratton.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Medicine. Congratulations.
Catherine Richardson.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Medicine. Congratulations.
Julian Vyas.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Medicine. Congratulations.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Catherine Britton.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Edwina Brocklesby.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Well done.
Patrick Carswell.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Simon Cockle.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Dawn Cooper.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Annie Crooks.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Mads Dahl.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Benjamin Dunmore.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Thank you.
Alex Gingras.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Deborah Holliday.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Parvinder Hothi.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Ekaterina Karukula.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Well done.
Carl Nelson.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Samantha Phillips.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Torrin Poolman.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
Stuart Saville. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Martin Tobin. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Helen Waller. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Diane Wildber. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. Robert Wykes. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations. For the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology, Eleanor Carpenter. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Karen Gurney. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Kate Horn. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Zoe McGovern. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Aisha Mir. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Jatin Patni. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Kate Sherling Rook. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Thank you. Victoria Watkins. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Kirsty Williams. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Helen Young. I've literally to the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations. Thank you. For the degree of Master of Philosophy, Alash Bello. Congratulations. Renata Crooks. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in Applied Forensic Psychology, Zainab Al-Atta. Congratulations. Pavan. Selina Bates. Congratulations. Verity Jane Boom. Congratulations. Alexandria Chambers. Congratulations. Paula Cheong. Congratulations. Patricia Heaton. Congratulations. Elvira Hodgetts. Congratulations. Sarah Jenkins. Congratulations. Rachel Meller. Congratulations. Janet Moore. Congratulations. Rachel Morrissey. Congratulations. Sonia Nachi. Congratulations. Sharon Snowball. Congratulations. Stephanie Tallis Foster. Congratulations. Paula Ward. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in Bioinformatics, Sendhu Balasu Brahmananiam. Congratulations. Gurpreet Bhamra. Congratulations. Claudia Cabrera. Congratulations. James Fowler. Congratulations. Konstantinos Gokoglou. Congratulations. Sudeshna Gua Neogi. Congratulations. Linda Hughes. Congratulations. Rajalingam Niranjan. Congratulations. Kostas Padiotis. Congratulations. Nick Peters. Congratulations. S.M. Rahman. Congratulations. Sean Williams. Congratulations. Tully Yates. Congratulations. Thank you. For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic Psychology, Emma Crawford. Congratulations. Well done. Donna Duffield. Congratulations. Jude Gittins. Congratulations. Sally Lawrence. Congratulations. Sarah Maddox. Congratulations. Rebecca Ormond. Congratulations. Sheila Patel. Congratulations. Melissa Perring. Congratulations. Ketan Sonigra. Congratulations. Kerry Stringfellow. Congratulations. Lucy Yeaman. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in Medical Statistics, Rebecca Blackburn. Congratulations. Teresa Kane. Congratulations. Wendy Harrison. Congratulations. Shelley Hutton. Congratulations. Well done. Ali Kashan. Congratulations. Stuart Lacey. Congratulations. Mark Lomax. Congratulations. Kathy O'Brien. Congratulations. Linda Shirt. Congratulations. Matthew Simcock. Congratulations. Helen Thomas. Congratulations. Hélène Tribaudet. Congratulations. Rachel Williams. Congratulations. Thank you. For the degree of Master of Science in Molecular Genetics, Noura Alden. Congratulations. Chen Ying Beo. Congratulations. Shuraya Barrett. Congratulations. Danny Chan. Congratulations. Suravi Chatterjee. Congratulations. Thank you. Stuart Green. Congratulations. Farhana Hack. Congratulations. Ellen Hatch. Congratulations. Shamina Causa. Congratulations. Paul Liu. Congratulations. O.J. Oka. Congratulations. Tom Richards. Congratulations. Sarah Sandrini. Congratulations. Faha Sheikh. Congratulations. Anastasia Strika. Congratulations. Jaharam Vijay Krishnan. Congratulations. Hua Ye. Congratulations. Thank you. For the degree of Master of Science in Molecular Pathology and Toxicology, Shanae Clinton. Congratulations. Rajvinder Gill. Congratulations. Colinette Heath. Congratulations. Sheila Imtiaz. Congratulations. Chukwuma Iziquina Fitzgerald. Congratulations. Raheel Kaleem. Congratulations. Randeep Mahal. Congratulations. Thank you. Jaykuma Patel. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in Occupational Psychology, Catherine Bonney. Congratulations, Pavan. Kirstine Hill. Congratulations. Matthew Jones. Congratulations. Margaret McCarthy. Congratulations. Kalik Mir. Congratulations. Sonia Pawson. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in Pain Management, Joe Noble Gresty. Congratulations. Manohar Sharma. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in the Psychology of Work, Mark Griffiths. Congratulations. Caroline Hodgson. Congratulations. Joan Howarth. Congratulations. Terence Lim. Congratulations. Graham Torrey. Congratulations. For the degree of Master of Science in the Assessment and Treatment of Sex Offenders, Alan Buckley. Congratulations. Lorraine Doherty. Congratulations. Darren Ferguson. Congratulations. Susan McHugh. Congratulations. Bye-bye. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Let me begin by congratulating you all on receiving your degrees. Young or old, you have earned your reward by your achievements, either in the examination or in the outside world. This is an occasion for us all to celebrate, and I'm glad so many friends and family are here in your support. This year will be my last as Chancellor of this university. I will have served for 10 years and shaken 10,000 hands. So I have begun to sympathise with the Queen. 10 years is quite a long time. Looking back over the past 10 years helps to put things into perspective. Of course, it's all relative. 10 years is a longer period for some than for others. Many of those graduating today will be in their 20s. 10 years ago, you were teenagers. And since that time, you have passed from school to university and changed from child to adult. It must seem a long 10 years, with many ups and downs on the way. Many crises will have come and gone, and the problems of today are different from the problems of yesterday. For those of more mature years who are undertaking courses to improve their careers or perhaps to change careers, the 10 years shrink. You can see them as a substantial slice of life, but one that can be grasped as a whole, a single period in which you established yourself or took the decision to move on. Perhaps I could digress here on a personal note. My youngest son, after a long and profitable career in computing, recently took the brave decision to change fields and embarked on the lengthy and uncertain training to become a clinical psychologist. Such career moves are increasingly common these days, and I'm sure some of you today can tell a similar story. But let me return to my main theme, the passage of the past decade as seen from different viewpoints. As Chancellor of Leicester, and at my advanced age, the 10 years appear quite short, a mere postscript to my previous academic life. It has, however, been long enough for me to get to know the university well and to become involved in its activities. For the university itself, which was only founded in the first half of the 20th century, these 10 years have seen great changes. A big increase in the number of students, particularly at the postgraduate level, many new buildings, and an ambitious project for the future. I have seen vice-chancellors come and go, or more accurately, go and come, and the standing of the university rise both nationally and internationally. The size and composition of this congregation today bears witness to these changes. If we move up from the university to the world scene, 10 years is also a useful period of time over which to make an assessment. Wars, earthquakes, elections have come and gone, but they loom much larger at the time than in a historical perspective. Similarly, in 10 years' time, many of the problems that monopolize our headlines may have faded from view to be replaced by new concerns. But although many contemporary crises have a short lifespan, underlying realities last longer and are measured in decades or centuries rather than months or years. Education is one of these. The increases in the numbers of schools and universities and the growing sophistication of their studies is a worldwide phenomenon that started in the 19th century and still has a long way to go. Scientific knowledge, the product of research in universities and elsewhere, is also something very long-term, with a growing influence on our lives. Politics may on occasion go backwards, but science always goes forward. The great expansion in the world population and wealth, with its inevitable impact on the limited resources of the earth, is also a long-term phenomenon. The chief scientific advisor to the British government, Sir David King, has said that global warming is a greater threat to mankind than terrorism. This is just the kind of message I'm trying to get across. The political issues that grab the headlines pale into insignificance against the really important long-term problems that face us all. And right at the heart of our societies sit the universities, whose aims in education and research are precisely the ones that we will need in the long term to tackle the crucial problems of future generations. It only remains for me to give you my best wishes for the future, hoping that you have learned from the University of Leicester will be of benefit to you and your societies in the coming years. The future depends on you. I now declare this congregation closed.